I was standing out in my garage, staring at a stack of boxes I had been avoiding for 16 months. I knew exactly what was in them, and that was the problem. My wife, Linda, had written the labels in her neat, careful handwriting. Just seeing her letters on cardboard made my chest tighten up. Holiday decorations, craft supplies, kitchen extras, and then one that simply said, Thomas, open when ready. That one had not been touched since the day after we buried her. The October sun came through the dirty little window above the workbench, throwing long shadows across the concrete floor. Dust floated in the light like it had nowhere else to be. Sometimes in that garage, I could almost hear her, telling me to grab a jacket because the air had a bite to it, calling out that dinner would be ready in 20 minutes, asking if I had remembered to call the kids. The silence was the worst part of losing her. It was not the empty house. It was not her side of the bed staying cold all night. It was the quiet between my own thoughts, where her voice used to live. I finally bent down and picked up the box with my name on it. It felt lighter than I expected. Inside, wrapped in one of her old scarves that still carried the faint scent of her perfume, was a small wooden box I had never seen before. My hand started shaking before I even opened it. Inside that wooden box was a thumb drive and a folded note in Linda's handwriting. Tom, watch this alone. Do not tell anyone until you do. I love you. I always have. I always will. At the bottom, she had written our anniversary date. 25. That morning, my daughter, Kayla, had stopped by. She brought groceries I did not ask for. She rearranged my kitchen cabinets without asking, too. Then she brought up that place again. Maple Grove Senior Living. It is not a nursing home, Dad, she said. It is independent living. You get your own apartment, but there are support services if you need them, and the social activities would be good for you. I smiled and nodded like I had been doing for months. I let her talk while I stood there wondering when she had started speaking to me like I was a child. I am the man who taught her how to drive a car. I showed her how to balance a checkbook. I taught her how to change a tire on the side of the road. Now she talked to me like I might forget how to tie my shoes. I carried the thumb drive inside and locked the front door behind me. Something about Linda's note set off the same instincts that kept me working as an engineer for 43 years. I designed systems that were not allowed to fail. I paid attention to details. She had written one word very clearly: alone, and she had told me not to tell anyone. Linda was not dramatic. If she went to the trouble of recording something and hiding it, she had a reason. My laptop took forever to start up. Or maybe it just felt that way because my heart was pounding in my ears. When it finally came on, I opened the thumb drive. There was only one file on it. A video. The date on the file said it was recorded 3 weeks before she died. I remembered that day. She had insisted I go over to our son, Brandon's, house to help him rebuild his deck. She said she wanted a quiet afternoon to herself. I figured she just wanted to rest without me hovering around asking if she needed anything. I clicked play. There she was. Linda was sitting in the reading chair by the bedroom window. The late afternoon sunlight made her look almost healthy. Almost. But I could see how much weight she had lost. Her wedding ring looked loose on her finger. She was wearing the blue cardigan I gave her for our 40th anniversary. Hi, sweetheart. The sound of her voice cracked something open inside me. It felt like my chest split in two. If you are watching this, she said, then I am gone. And you finally found the courage to go through my things. I am proud of you for that. I know this is hard. She looked straight into the camera with that expression I knew better than my own reflection. The look she gave me when she had to tell me something I did not want to hear. Thomas, I need you to listen to everything before you do anything. I need you to really hear me. The way you did when I told you I was sick. The way you listened when I told you the treatment was not working. Can you do that for me one more time? I nodded at the screen like she could see me. Tears were already running down my face. I am worried about Kayla. The words hit me like someone shoved me hard in the chest. Not worried the way a mother usually worries, she continued. Worried like I think she might be planning something that could hurt you. I hope I am wrong. I pray I am wrong. But I cannot risk staying quiet. She shifted in her chair and winced. I remembered how much pain she had been in near the end, and how hard she tried to hide it from all of us. About 3 months ago, Kayla started asking questions about our money. She wanted to know how much the house was worth. She asked about our life insurance. She wanted details about your pension. At first, I thought she was just trying to be responsible, trying to help us plan. Linda paused, but then she started bringing Tyler around. Tyler was Kayla's new boyfriend. I had met him twice. He had slicked back hair and wore suits that probably cost more than my first car. He shook my hand like he was closing a business deal. He called me sir too many times. He asked too many questions about my retirement. Tyler says he is a financial advisor, Linda said. But I looked into him. He is not with a major firm. He runs a small office in a strip mall. I spoke with Carol, whose son works in finance, and she told me Tyler has been investigated twice for questionable dealings with elderly clients. Nothing was proven, but complaints were filed. My hands curled into fists. Linda did not jump to conclusions. If she dug into something, it was because her gut told her to. Last week, she continued, Kayla came over while you were at your doctor's appointment. She brought paperwork. She said it was for setting up power of attorney, just in case something happened to both of us. She wanted me to sign it. She told me she had already talked to you. Linda's voice changed. It got firmer. But you and I tell each other everything. You never mentioned any conversation about power of attorney. The camera shook a little as she adjusted herself in the chair. I told her I needed time to think about it. She got frustrated. She said I was being difficult. She claimed you had already agreed. She said she was just trying to help us prepare. Linda swallowed hard. Then she said something that chilled me. She said, Mom, Dad is already showing signs. Yesterday, he could not remember where he put his keys. Last week he asked me the same question twice. Tears filled her eyes. Thomas, there is nothing wrong with your memory. Sometimes you misplace your keys because you are human. And if you asked her something twice, it might be because she did not answer you clearly the first time. She leaned closer to the camera. She is building a story. She is creating the idea that you are declining, that you cannot handle things alone, that you need someone to step in. I had to pause the video. I stood up and walked circles around the living room. This could not be right. Kayla was my little girl. I held her when her marriage fell apart 4 years ago. I helped her move into that apartment. I loaned her money when she needed it. I co-signed her car lease when her credit was ruined. But I forced myself to sit back down and press play. Linda deserved to be heard. I called Brandon, she said. I asked him casually if Kayla had mentioned anything about power of attorney. He had no idea what I was talking about. Kayla told him we were both doing fine. She said you were handling my illness well. Linda's eyes were steady now. That is when I realized she is controlling the information. She is making sure Brandon does not know what she might be planning. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. I had seen that gesture for 45 years. Seeing it now almost broke me. After I am gone, she is going to increase the pressure. She will tell you that the house is too much for you. She will point out every small memory slip, every moment of grief. She will use it as proof that you cannot manage. She took a breath. She will probably suggest Maple Grove. I have seen brochures for it in her car. My stomach dropped. I had seen one of those brochures that very morning, half hidden under her gym bag, but not hidden enough. Here is what I need you to do, Linda said, leaning forward. That look on her face told me she was in problem-solving mode. The woman who handled our money. The woman who kept this family steady for decades. First, check every bank account. All of them. Look for any transaction you do not recognize. I have been watching them closely, but I will not be here to keep doing that. She held up a small notebook to the camera. This is in my nightstand, under my Bible. Linda held up that little notebook and said, it has all of our account numbers, passwords, and a full list of everything we own as of today. When I am gone, compare it to what you see. If anything is different, you will know. She set the notebook down carefully. Second, she said, her voice steady. Do not sign anything Kayla puts in front of you. Not power of attorney. Not financial planning papers. Nothing. If you need to update any legal documents, go see Howard Mitchell. You remember him. He handled our will 10 years ago. He is honest, and he understands what we want. She leaned back slightly. Third, trust your instincts. You spent 40 years building safety systems. You know how to find a flaw in a design. If something feels off, it probably is. For a moment, she just looked into the camera. It was the same look she used to give me across the dinner table, across our bed at night, across all the years we built together. There is something else, she said quietly. And this is harder. She took a shaky breath. I have watched the way Kayla looks at Tyler. And sweetheart, it is not love. It is dependence. Maybe even desperation. I think she owes him something. Money maybe. Or maybe he has some other kind of hold on her. But whatever is going on between them, it is not healthy. It is not what it looks like on the surface. She swallowed. You are going to want to believe the best about her. That is who you are. You always see the good in people, especially in your children. It is one of the things I have always loved most about you. Her eyes filled with tears. But Thomas, sometimes the people we love make choices that hurt us. Sometimes they lose their way. And when that happens, loving them does not mean letting them destroy you. Then she broke down. Not the quiet tears she tried to hide from us near the end. Real sobbing. I am so sorry I will not be there to face this with you, she said. I am so sorry you might have to handle this alone. But you are not weak. You are not losing your mind. You are 67 years old with a sharp brain and a good heart. You deserve to enjoy your retirement in peace, not spend it fighting your own daughter. She wiped her face and pulled herself together the way she always did. There is more on this drive, she said. Financial records. I copied text messages between Kayla and Tyler. I found them on her phone when she left it on the kitchen counter. I am not proud that I looked, but my instincts were screaming at me. Read everything. Then decide what you need to do. She stood up slowly, gripping the arm of the chair to steady herself. Whatever you decide, remember this. I love you. I believe in you. And protecting yourself is not the same thing as not loving your children. Sometimes protecting yourself is the only way to love them the right way. She stepped toward the camera. The screen went black. I sat there in the quiet living room while the sun went down. The shadows stretched across the walls until the whole room felt heavy and dark. Then I opened the rest of the file she had left me. The first document was a screenshot of text messages between Kayla and Tyler. The date showed it was 2 months before Linda died. Kayla wrote, "He is still sharp. This is going to take longer than we thought." Tyler answered, "After your mom passes, he will be vulnerable. That is when we act. Grief makes people easy to influence." Kayla replied, "I feel sick about this." Tyler wrote back, "You want to feel sick? Think about what happens if we do not pay Marcus back by December. That is real. Your dad's feelings will fade." Marcus. I did not know any Marcus. But now I understood what Linda meant about desperation. The next file was a financial breakdown Linda had put together. She had lined up Kayla's visits with activity in our bank accounts. Small withdrawals. $20 here. $50 there. Nothing big enough to set off alarms. But over 6 months, it added up to nearly $2,000. Kayla had used my debit card on days she helped with grocery shopping. There were more messages. Plans about getting me declared mentally incompetent. Internet searches about how long it takes to sell a house in Oregon. Screenshots of Maple Grove senior living pricing. For $1,500 per month for a small apartment. One note said, "Convince him to sell house. Move money into managed account. Use monthly Maple Grove payments to channel funds through Tyler's firm." I stared at the screen. My daughter. The same little girl who used to fall asleep on my chest while we watched Portland Trail Blazers games. The same one who called me crying her first semester of college because she was homesick. The one who told me I was her hero on the day she graduated from high school. I started looking back over the past 16 months with new eyes. After Linda died, Kayla began coming over more often. At first, I thought it was kindness. Then she started organizing my medications, scheduling my doctor appointments, rearranging my calendar. She discouraged me from going to my Thursday night poker game with my old engineering friends. She said I seemed tired. She suggested it might be stressful for me. Little by little, she had been cutting me off from people, making me depend on her, creating a picture where I needed supervision. The anger came fast, hot and sharp, but under that anger was something worse. Grief, not just for my wife, for the daughter I thought I had, for the relationship I believed was solid. I spent 2 hours going through every file Linda had saved. When I finished, I opened my laptop again and started digging on my own. Tyler Benson operated something called Benson Financial Services out of an office about 20 minutes outside Portland. I could not find any professional certifications tied to his name. His online work history showed short stays at several firms. None of them lasted more than a year and a half. His social media showed him in Las Vegas, sitting at expensive restaurants, standing next to a new Lexus sedan. The kind of lifestyle that did not match what someone running a tiny strip mall office should be earning. I found records of the complaints Linda mentioned. Elderly clients claimed he had talked them into moving their savings into high-risk investments that failed. The cases were dismissed for lack of proof. But the pattern was there. Then I turned my attention to Kayla's finances. That part took some effort. I still paid for the family phone plan, which meant I could access cloud backups if I had her password. I did. She had been using the same password since high school. My mother's maiden name and Linda's birth year. She always said complicated passwords were too hard to remember. Her phone automatically backed up photos. I found pictures of bank statements, probably saved so she could send them to Tyler. Kayla was $42,000 in debt. Her credit cards were maxed out. There was a personal loan from a man named Marcus Chin. The interest rate made my stomach turn. 30%. And according to the contract she photographed, if she did not repay the full amount by December 15th, the interest would jump to 50%. 50%. The contract also said Marcus had the right to pursue collection by all legal means, including claims against co-signers and family assets. There was no way I had co-signed anything. I would remember that, which meant one of two things. Either she forged my name, or she planned to make me feel responsible because I was her father. I leaned back in my chair and looked at Linda's photograph on the mantel. You were right, I said out loud. About all of it. That night, I barely slept. I kept seeing Kayla as a little girl, holding my hand when we crossed the street, begging for one more chapter at bedtime, standing up for her brother when kids teased him in middle school. She had been fierce, loyal, brave. When did that change? Or had I just refused to see it? The next morning, I called Howard Mitchell. He was semi-retired, but he agreed to meet me that afternoon. I sat across from him in his office and laid everything out. The video, the documents, the text messages, the bank records. Howard folded his hands on his desk and looked at me straight. Thomas, I am going to speak plainly, he said. What you are describing is elder financial abuse. If Kayla has taken money without your permission, forged signatures, or tried to pressure you into signing legal documents under false pretenses, that is not just unethical. It is criminal. I felt something heavy settle in my chest. What can I do? I asked. First, he said, we protect your assets. We move your money into accounts she cannot access. Howard leaned back in his chair and said, we will update your power of attorney to someone you trust. Is there anyone you have in mind? Right away, I thought of my brother, David. Retired Navy. Lives up in Seattle. Steady as a rock. Honest to a fault. Protective of family. My brother, I said. David. Howard nodded. Good. Second, you document everything. Every strange conversation. Every request for money. Every paper she tries to get you to sign. Every attempt to pressure or confuse you. He paused. Third, we decide whether you want to involve law enforcement now or wait. If she escalates. His expression turned hard. Then we use your documentation to protect you. And if necessary, we press charges. The word charges sat heavy in the air. Then he looked at me carefully. Thomas, there is something else you need to think about. If you move forward with this, if you cut her off financially and protect yourself, your relationship with your daughter may not survive it. Are you prepared for that? I looked down at Linda's handwriting spread across his desk. She had recorded that video when she could barely stand. She spent some of her final days investigating and protecting me instead of resting. I think, I said slowly, that I owe it to my wife to protect myself. Howard nodded once. Then we get started. Over the next 2 weeks, I worked with him to restructure everything. We opened new accounts that Kayla had no access to. We transferred my power of attorney to my brother David. He flew down for a weekend when I told him what was happening. I have not seen him that angry in years. He nearly punched a hole in my garage wall. We updated my will. Most of my estate would now be divided between my son, Brandon, and the Cancer Research Foundation Linda supported. Kayla would receive a fixed amount. Enough that she could not argue she had been forgotten, but nowhere near equal. And I followed one more suggestion Linda left in her notes. I installed a small security camera in my living room, hidden in a bookshelf. If Kayla tried something, I wanted proof. 3 weeks after I watched Linda's video, Kayla called. Dad, I need to talk to you about something important. Can I come over tomorrow? Of course, sweetheart, I said. She arrived the next afternoon. With Tyler. Red flag number 1. She had not mentioned he was coming. Dad, we need to talk about your future, Kayla said as she sat down in Linda's favorite chair. I hated seeing her there. Tyler stood behind her, one hand resting on her shoulder like he was staging a photograph. I am listening, I said. You have been alone almost 5 months, she continued. Brandon and I are worried. The house is too much for one person. It is a lot to maintain. And honestly, Dad, we have noticed some things. What things? I asked. Tyler stepped in smoothly. Last week, when Kayla was with you at the grocery store, you could not remember where you parked. The week before, you asked her twice what day Brandon was visiting. These can be early warning signs, Mr. Harrison. We are not saying anything is seriously wrong. It is just wise to plan ahead. I let the silence stretch out. That was something I learned during my engineering career. Stay quiet. Let the other side fill the space. Kayla leaned forward. We have been researching Maple Grove Senior Living. It is beautiful, Dad. You would have your own apartment. There is a dining hall. Activities. People your age. Medical staff on site if you ever need help. How much does it cost? I asked calmly. $4,500 per month, she said quickly. But you can afford it. If we sell the house, you would have more than enough. Sell the house. It is too much house for one person, she replied, and her voice sharpened. The housing market is strong right now. Tyler thinks we could get at least $600,000. After paying off the mortgage and doing a few repairs, you would clear about $450,000. That is years at Maple Grove. And Tyler could invest the rest so it keeps growing. There it was. Sell the house. Move the money. Put it in Tyler's control. I kept my tone steady. I appreciate you looking out for me. But I am not selling the house. Your mother and I built our life here. I am staying. Kayla's face tightened. Dad, you are not thinking clearly. That is exactly what worries us. You are making emotional decisions instead of practical ones. My mind is fine, Kayla. Tyler stepped forward again. Kayla has mentioned a few concerns. Missed appointments. Some confusion about medications. Sometimes people do not realize it is happening to them. Gaslighting. Make me question my own reality. I have not missed any appointments, I said evenly. My medications are organized in a pill box I fill every Sunday. The only thing confusing me lately is why my daughter is trying to convince me I am losing my mind when I am not. Kayla stood up abruptly. This is exactly what Tyler warned me about. Denial. Dad, we are trying to help you. Are you? I stood up too, and I let my voice turn cold. Or are you trying to help yourself out of $42,000 of debt? The color drained from her face. What are you talking about? I am talking about Marcus Chin. I am talking about a loan at 30% interest that jumps to 50% in December. I am talking about text messages between you and Tyler discussing how to have me declared incompetent so you can sell my house and take my money. Tyler moved toward the door. I do not have to listen to this. No, I said, pulling out my phone, but the police might. I have copies of messages, financial records, documentation your mother gathered before she died. Kayla sank back into the chair. Mom knew, she whispered. She knew. Yes, I said. She knew. She was dying, and instead of resting, she spent her energy protecting me from this. Kayla started crying. Dad, I am sorry. I never meant for it to go this far. It was not supposed to be like this. Marcus was supposed to be a safe investment. Tyler said. Tyler said whatever you needed to hear to get access to my money. I looked at him. Get out of my house. Mr. Harrison, this is a misunderstanding. Leave. Or I call the police and file a complaint about your business. I have the names of 3 other families who filed claims against you. I wonder how your license would hold up under that. He left. Kayla stayed, crying. How could you? I asked. The words tore out of me. I am your father. Your mother just died. How could you plan to do this? I am scared, she said, looking up at me. And for a second, I saw the little girl again. I am so scared. The debt. The threats. Marcus's people. Tyler said this was the only solution. He said you would be fine at Maple Grove. You would not even know the difference. I would have lost my home, my independence, my dignity. I sat down across from her. I felt tired in a way that had nothing to do with age. You needed help, I said quietly. You could have asked me. I already asked you for so much after the divorce, she whispered. I could not keep coming back. So you decided to steal from me instead? She had no answer. Here is what is going to happen. I pulled out the paperwork Howard prepared. My assets are now in accounts you cannot access. My power of attorney belongs to your Uncle David. I updated my will. When I die, you will receive $50,000. Nothing more. The rest goes to your brother and to the Cancer Research Foundation your mother supported. 50,000? She said in disbelief. Dad, that is more than you deserve after planning to take everything. It is enough to pay off Marcus and start over. But that is all. The house stays mine. My money stays mine. My life stays mine. She stood up, anger replacing tears. You are choosing money over your daughter. No, I said. You chose money over your father. I am choosing to protect myself from that choice. She walked out without another word. That evening Brandon came over. I had called him after Kayla left and told him everything. He asked to see proof before forming an opinion, and I respected that. Now he sat on my couch reading Linda's notes and the printed text messages. His face grew redder with every page. I knew Tyler was bad news, he muttered. But I had no idea Kayla was this deep. She borrowed money she could not repay. I said. She got involved with a loan shark. Tyler saw an opportunity. Brandon looked at me. Dad, I am sorry. I should have been around more. I should have noticed. You have a life, I told him. A family. A demanding job. This is not on you. I do not expect you to babysit me, I told Brandon. He set the papers down on the coffee table and looked at me straight on. Then what do you need from me? He asked. Just what you are already doing, I said. Be my son. Come by when you can. And if you ever truly think I am slipping, tell me. Kayla had me doubting myself for a minute. That kind of manipulation can get in your head. He gave me a small grin. Dad, you are sharp as ever. Honestly, probably sharper than me half the time. The smile faded though. What happens now? Now, I said, I live my life. I stay in this house as long as I can manage it. When the day comes that I cannot, I will move somewhere smaller. Maybe even a retirement community. But it will be my choice. Made with a clear mind. I looked at Linda's photograph on the mantel. Your mother saved me from making a mistake I could not undo. Brandon followed my gaze. She always looked out for us, he said. Yeah, I answered. She did. The months that followed were not easy. Kayla called twice. She sent a few text messages. Half apology, half accusation. I did not respond. I needed distance. In January, Tyler's office shut down without warning. Howard told me he had left town after several formal complaints were filed against him. Disappeared like men like that usually do. Kayla had to deal with Marcus Chin on her own. Brandon told me she picked up a second job. She downsized to a smaller apartment. Cut her spending to almost nothing. Started chipping away at the debt. Maybe she would learn something from it. Maybe she would not. But it was no longer my problem to solve. I went back to my Thursday night poker games. Sat around the table with the old engineering crowd. We argued about sports. We complained about our backs. We laughed like we used to. I started woodworking again in the garage. Linda had always wanted a bench on the back porch. A place to sit in the evenings and watch the sky change. I began building it piece by piece. I planned to finish it by spring. One afternoon in late February, while I was digging through some shelves for sandpaper, I found another small box of Linda's things I had missed. Inside was a second thumb drive. There was a note taped to it. Only watch this if you made it through. My heart started pounding again. I went inside, sat down at the laptop, and pressed play. There she was. Seeing her still hurt. But the pain felt different this time. Less like an open wound. More like remembering a dream you once had and loved. Hi, sweetheart, she said softly. If you are watching this, then my fears were real. And you had to make a terrible choice. I am so sorry. She smiled. The same smile I fell in love with 50 years ago. But I am also proud of you. You protected yourself. You did not let love turn you into a victim. That takes strength. She took a breath. I want to tell you something about Kayla. Her voice grew gentler. Do you remember when she was 8 years old? She saved her allowance for 3 months to buy you that fishing tackle box for your birthday. She could barely contain herself waiting to give it to you. I smiled despite myself. I remembered that day. That little girl is still in there somewhere, Linda said. The generous, kind daughter we raised. What happened to her is not entirely her fault. Some of it is. The choices she made belong to her. But some of it is life pressing down on a person until they start making decisions they never imagined they would. She paused. Divorce, debt, fear, desperation. Those things change people. She leaned closer to the camera. I'm not telling you to forgive her. That is your decision. But do not erase her from your heart completely. Maybe someday, after she has done the work, after she has proven she is different, you two might build something new. Not the old relationship. That one is gone. But something honest. She gave a small shrug. Or maybe you cannot. Maybe too much was broken. That is all right too. You are allowed to protect your peace. You are allowed to say enough. She looked tired, but calm. I wish I could be there holding your hand. I wish I could tell you face to face that you will be all right. But Thomas, you were strong before you met me. You will be strong after I am gone. She smiled again. You built your career designing systems that would not fail. Use that same mindset for your life. Build something that works. Build something safe. Her eyes filled with warmth. I loved every minute we had together. Every argument. Every laugh. Every quiet morning drinking coffee in our pajamas. All of it. She placed her hand over her heart. Wherever I am still loving you. Still proud of you. Then she said the words that settled deep in my bones. Live your life, Thomas Harrison. Live it fully. Do not let grief or anger or betrayal shrink your world. Play poker. Build things. Make friends. Maybe, one day, let yourself be happy again. You deserve that. She swallowed. Tell Brandon I love him. Tell him he is a good son and a good man. Her voice trembled. And tell Kayla I loved her too. Even at the end. Even knowing what she might do. Tell her I hope she finds her way back to who she was meant to be. She stood up and walked toward the camera. Before turning it off, she blew a kiss. See you on the other side, sweetheart, she said. Take your time getting there. The screen went black. I sat there as the afternoon light stretched across the walls. And I let myself cry. Not just for Linda, but for the daughter I lost. For the trust that shattered. For the future I once imagined. But I also cried for what remained. For Brandon and his kids. For my brother David, who now called every Sunday without fail. For old friends and new routines. For the quiet dignity of living in my own house, making my own decisions. After a while, I picked up my phone and sent Brandon a message. Your mom wanted me to tell you she loves you and that you are a good man. She was right about both. He replied almost immediately. Love you too, Dad. See you Sunday for dinner. I smiled. I looked at Linda's photograph one more time. Thank you, I said into the empty room. For everything. For 45 years. For protecting me even when you were the one dying. Then I went back out to the garage and worked on her bench. The sun warmed my back. The smell of sawdust mixed with the cool edge of early spring air. For the first time in 16 months, the silence did not feel so heavy. 6 months passed. Then a year. The bench sat on the back porch, aging into something beautiful. I attached a small brass plaque to it. Linda's place. Where love sits and waits. I had not heard from Kayla directly. Brandon told me she finished paying off Marcus. She was working 2 jobs. Going to therapy. Good. Maybe someday we would talk again. Maybe not. I had made peace with both possibilities. One Thursday night after poker, my friend Ray asked me how I was really doing. I thought about it for a second. Honestly, I said, I am okay. Some days I am better than okay. You ever think about what Linda said? About building something new? He asked. I looked around my workshop. A bookshelf half finished for Brandon's daughter. A toy chest for his son. A bird feeder design sketched out on the workbench. I think I already am, I said. One piece at a time. And it was true. The betrayal hurt. It probably always would. But Linda was right about something else. I was strong. I was clear-minded. And I was exactly where I needed to be. That night, I sat on Linda's bench and watched the stars come out. I thought about the deeper message she left me. Not just the warning about Kayla, but the truth underneath it. Love is not blindness. Sometimes it is the clearest vision we have. And sometimes the most loving thing we can do is protect ourselves, so we can keep living. Keep building. Keep being the person someone believed we could be. I am doing all right, sweetheart, I said quietly to the night air. I am doing all right. And somewhere, in whatever comes next, I like to believe she was smiling.